Unvenge.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Mark 133 of the Super Civil Servants podcast. My name is Greg, the Bat Daddy 52, and interesting weekend. Start of the NBA playoffs. USFL kicks off this weekend. If you're not familiar with it, I would recommend checking out at least once. It's minor league football. And as Cleveland says, I love minor league sports. There's nothing like watching a bunch of people I know nothing about not play very well. So give it a shot, though. You know, every team plays in one stadium. It's got to be great, right? So anyway, we're here to talk about a lot of other stuff that's great this weekend. And I got my partners with me, my co-hosts, my friends. Sarah's making her turn. What's going on, Sarah?
Oh, had a lot of family stuff going on. The in-laws were down, so had to do all that, which was fun. It's always great seeing the in-laws. But other than that, I'm tired, fellas. There's been a lot going on. Because the kids were on spring break this week too, so we had a house full. Yeah, but at least I got a few days off, so it's all good.
There you go. Tired's definitely the theme of the week. I've been up till 2:30 in the morning working on the house, and it's spring break here too. So my kids have been home, and of course they're teenagers, so 2:30 in the morning is nothing to them. So they're up as well. Yeah, tired's definitely a theme for the week. Ross, what's up, buddy?
Not much. I'm realizing now just how messed up your guys' spring break is. They moved the school year here. It's like, I think the kids had spring break like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, some counties are like that. I mean, some.
I know some that are having it next week.
Yeah, there are.
It's funny. It's that point in your life where spring break, the words just together, like changes from "oh, I can't wait, awesome, good time" to "crap."
The house is gonna be full.
Yeah, like
there's what do we do with them?
Life where it switches, and that's when I think you're starting to okay, maybe I'm getting a little old. I mean, it's not that bad. Like I said, I have two tanners. They pretty much run themselves, you know. So anyway, let's talk about some shows this week. Well, actually, do we have any big news stories we want to talk about? I don't think there's a lot going on out there. I'm not really paying that much attention to the news. I'm more or less just kind of watching shows and enjoying life because I found that when you cut news out of your life, it tends to be a better life.
I'm kind of with you, Greg. I'm kind of with you on that. I like to be surprised.
Yes. The element of surprise is a very, very. It's like adults lose the imagination. You don't want that to happen. Like you need surprise.
And that reminds me. Are we going to talk about Picard season 3? Because I know you probably mentioned it last week, didn't you?
I started, but then I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait.
Okay.
I'll wait for you to come on and talk about it.
That's right.
Okay.
Because we started talking about it.
Well, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and talk about it because I have some thoughts on it. I'm like, here we are, what? Oh, God, I just watched Picard, and it's like, what, episode
7.
Yeah. And I'm like, we're already getting, towards the, hadn't even finished the season, and you're already bringing in season 3, and not just season 3, but you're bringing the whole damn crew back? I'm like, are you trying to push it, or do you not have enough people watching it? Are you trying to pull more people in to get the season 3 to get that hype going on? Because I'm like, that was just kind of weird to me to have, that list and talking about season 3, and like I said, you're not even, you're getting to the last quarter. It just didn't make sense to me. I'm like, what are you doing? I mean, are you just trying to kind of, I don't know, hype it?
I think
we know that it's going to be the last season.
Oh, is it? But doesn't that kind of take the stakes away from the rest of this season, though?
But that just kind of takes the surprise away from it. I mean,
we know nobody's going to die.
That's what I said.
Which I'm saying, I don't want to
get out of my mouth.
Saying, don't like make it look like somebody's going to, because guess what? I know they don't. I mean, I
said last week though that they released it all, and I'm pretty sure they did it on First Contact Day. That was the reason why they were just trying to get some news out. They didn't really have a whole lot. This week we got a teaser trailer for Lower Decks. There you go. Really nothing fancy, just them letting you know that it's going to come out this year, like in 2022. So they didn't really have a whole lot. they can't talk too much more. I mean, that's when they should have dropped the Strange New Worlds trailer. If you want
Mm-hmm.
my personal opinion, because I said it countless times, just wait. Just wait for the flow. Now, if you would have done a Strange New Worlds trailer, it would have been a perfect time. And then as that's going on, throw in your teaser trailer for Lower Decks. And I mean, what else do we have? Star Trek coming out. I don't think we have a whole lot. I mean, they keep
Pretty much
talking
it.
about
Yeah.
fans are trying to get like saying it's all like a perfect time for a Voyager redo or Voyager movie or Voyager something other.
Mhm.
But really, at all at the end of the day, they just kind of came out with it. I don't know why. There was no preemptive notion. There was no. I can tell you that this week's Picard was the lowest rated one of like at least this season, and it,
Mm.
only because it didn't have like a whole lot of action. You know, everyone got confused, and normally if they don't have anything that's pushing them along to watch the episode and keep their interest, it takes them a minute to find appreciation into it. You know, like it might be next episode or the one after that they really truly appreciate this one. But
Yeah.
why did they bring all the names? Who knows?
Well, Star Trek's never been one to their marketing to really make sense. They never quite understand the timing aspect of it. It's like either okay, we're just gonna like
Marketing is like their
sporadic.
show.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know what's funny is no kids I know are like nuts about Star Trek, which kind of sucks for Star Trek. Like I know a ton of kids that love Star Wars, you know, but I don't know any kids. In fact, I couldn't even tell you one kid that I've ever spoken to.
Marketing.
That they want. Yeah, you're right. It's exactly what it
It's
is. Marketing.
marketing.
Yeah.
Well, they went really young with
Prodigy.
Prodigy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that would be but that's a perfect opportunity. I mean, that's a great, like, kids at home preschool, you know, kindergarten, like that. It seems like that's a perfect kind of age range for that. But you're right, because Star Wars has always had all the characters right there in your face. And they've always had all these things happening, whereas Star Trek is very, very, like, it's just geared towards older people. The shows have always been geared towards older people just because of the type of writing and the type of storytelling that they do.
Yeah, I can agree.
You can't
I
get
mean,
kids
and
on board
honestly,
with that.
that might be why I just wasn't as into it when I was a kid. You know, but
Yeah.
then again, my stepdad always told me Star Trek is stupid, so I just was like, all right, cool, Star Wars, here you go. But yeah, from what you guys have told me, the marketing on Star Trek is bad. I know that I personally don't see a lot of stuff on it, and I don't know any kids that are about it. I've figured out a way to get myself to watch Picard season 1 because me and my wife were flipping through channel stuff last night trying to find something to watch, and we passed through Picard, and I was like, you need to start watching that show. You'd really enjoy it. I was like, I'm on season 2 right now. And she's like, well, you're already on season 2. And I was like, well, I'll go back and start season 1 again if you want me to. And I know that if she starts it, I know if she starts it, it's going to be on, and it's going to be watched, you know. So
Mhm.
that's my plan for Picard season 1. I'll probably end up having to watch the rest of season 2 again, which is fine. It's a great show. But
But that's the thing about it. If you watch season 1, you need to rewatch season 2 because a lot of things will make a lot
it'll
more
make
sense.
more sense. But my trick is after that, I know she's going to like it. Then when Strange New Worlds comes out, I can be like, hey, this is Star Trek too. Like, you should check it out. You don't have to know anything about Star Trek to watch this show. This is all new. So maybe that'll get her into that too. Trying to create a fan. We'll see. Okay, before we get into the shows, then I do want to drop some information about a viewing I had this week. You know, I think it was my day off this week, so I think it was like Tuesday morning, and it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. Me and my wife woke up, and the kids don't have to go to school this week, so there's no reason for us to be up that morning. I was off work. She doesn't work till evenings. She wakes up and she does like the one of two things that she can do just to get me right up out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, she turns TV on, she's flipping through, and she's like, "What's this Venom? Let's check this out." 5 o'clock in the morning. Like I said, one of the two things, and I was like, "All right, cool, let's do it."
right.
Guilt or not? What's the word I'm looking for? Confession time. I have not seen the Venom movie. The Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy, yeah.
Tom Hardy. I had Hardy. Yeah, Tom Hardy. I have not seen the Tom Hardy Venom movie yet. Yeah, I love Venom. I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw the previews for it, I did not really like the way Venom looked. Like it was cool for Venom, you know, and I understand it's hard. It would be hard to make him look cool on screen, but it just didn't resonate with me. I don't know why. So I just never ended up seeing it. Then Venom 2 came out. Never saw that one either. So my wife turns Venom on. We start watching it. And she's asking me how this is connected and everything else. And I'm trying to explain everything to her. The movie gets done. I'm not really a fan, to be honest with you. I didn't, nothing against Tom Hardy. I just didn't really like the portrayal of Eddie Brock. It's just not what I see as Eddie Brock. The story, like there's certain parts where I'm watching it and I'm like, they had to put that in there because this is the way it happens, you know, in real life. In real life, this is the way I was like, so this is how they changed that. And then some things they did a good job with, but I was like, yeah. And she even told me, she was like, I don't think I could see Spider-Man, this current Spider-Man, in this universe. And I said, no, you definitely can't. Definitely can't. So I was kind of surprised. I thought that even though it had been so long, the movie had been out, that when I saw it, I would still somewhat enjoy it. And it wasn't a terrible movie, but it's not something that I'm going to go back and watch. And I'm not going to lie, I don't even know if I want to go watch the second one. You know,
Well, you have to watch it now.
I
mean,
do
you watched
because
the first one.
Ashley wants to watch it, so I know that if she wants to watch it, that I'm going to end up watching it. But I guess I don't want to say I'm not going to see it. I just don't have the desire to see it. You know, like I would have thought after watching the first one, I'm like, all right, let's see what's up with number 2. You know, but I don't know, man. It just does not resonate with me. You know,
I went on my Sony rant last week, and I didn't mean to.
you're good.
It was right there at the end of the show, and I'm like, I just can't play the games that Sony wants to play, and that game is, I want to, you know, they're 1 foot in the sandbox, 1 foot out. Like I want to play, but I don't want to let anyone play with my toys. How does that work? You know, now we're going to continue on with this, whatever it is that they're trying to make, their universe, build up their Marvel side of it, and I'm just, you know, Sarah, you said you liked Morbius. I just had, that's what kicked it off last week for me. I'm like, I just don't have the desire to go see it. And it is all their fault. But most of that's just
agree.
because
I mean, they can't play nice. I mean, it's like one has this idea, one has this idea. You're trying to put them to two ideas together, and it's not working. I was kind of explaining this to my sister-in-law last night, you know, because she was asking me about it, and or you know, something along those lines. And I think Venom did come up, and I was like, my thing about Venom is I felt like I laughed way too much than I should have. I mean, there was comedy, but yeah, I felt like there was too much for what was going on. And I think that was probably the only thing that really got me into it. And I know that sounds really crazy.
No, it's funny you say that because it's one thing that I was thinking about when I was watching the movie. The comedy was a problem with me, is the placement of it. And to be honest with you, a lot of it wasn't really that good. Like it was parts where like the Venom voice was supposed to be funny, and I was like, it's not really funny. Like, okay, you sound kind of dumb. You know?
It was rushed. I think the jokes were rushed. All of the Venom dialogue felt like it was rushed. You know, like he was always trying to talk way too fast. Like, well, why didn't you come and do this? And like he would just, his tone and everything else. And I was like, I didn't like the last movie that Tom Hardy did with a voice in it. I like the movie. I just didn't like the voice. The voice, here we are again doing this all over again. I'm like, what is it like? And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I didn't care enough to go and check to see if the voice was him and it was modulated or who did the voice. Like I didn't even bother to go check because after watching it, I'm like, man,
I'm done.
Solid. Check.
Well, I mean, at least I'm not completely alone on this. And I think, Ross, I told you about this last week, and you described it as Green Lantern, a movie that's there and not terrible. But
you said that. I didn't say that.
No, I didn't.
I don't hate it, but I mean, it's not going to be my favorite. You know, I mean, it's like I don't hate it because I mean, I don't think there's really any of them that I absolutely hate. Right. I mean, you know, I might watch it again just to be like, if there's nothing else on, or maybe the kids say something because Claire liked it. I don't know why. She's weird like that, I guess. But she's one of the reasons that we probably watched it more than one. Like since we watched it the second time. Yeah. I'm like, okay. Anyways.
Well, you know, like I said, it had its moments, and there was some good stuff about it, and there were some things they did put in there to kind of edit the origin and get things out there that I didn't think they did a bad job with. the CGI at the end with what is it, Rampage that he's fighting in this one? I can't remember.
You.
See, that's how much we remember.
Yeah.
Well, it was like watching a Michael Bay Transformers movie, but with T2000 model Terminators. If that makes any sense? Like
God, I can't wait till you watch Carnage.
giant globs of glistening goo intertwining and fighting where you can't really make a whole lot of sense.
Okay, stop. We don't need to know about the other way that your wife wakes you up. Just move on to the next one.
Got confused there. Cross stream. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that was it for me because that's one of the big things about Transformers movies is just the fighting scenes for me are like, it's a little much. Like it's.
But at least Transformers, you're sitting there the whole time, and you're like, at least like I finally see Transformers on screen. You know, the downside is that everything's blowing up either in the foreground or the background, and then it's just a bunch of shiny, weird, metal objects flying around that are fake. But even then, you're like, it's Transformers. How real can we actually make this look and get away with it?
True.
Venom, at least. I mean, Venom. I don't know when we're going to reach the day where I think that it's okay looking. I didn't have such a problem with the Sam Raimi Venom. I don't think, like, visually seeing him on what's his name, Topher's body.
Topher Grace.
Yeah, and then to turn around and see this one, and it's just like the head's just like all like the mouth is forming it, and like everything else is just doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And, like, cause you're just throwing stuff around, like black stuff everywhere.
Yeah. Like I said, it's just one of those things. I think part of the reason why I never tried to watch it was because I didn't want to be disappointed with it. And now I've watched it and I am a little, but like Sarah says, it's not a terrible movie. It's not something that I'm going to go back and watch unless somebody else has it on. And yeah, unless somebody else has it on or I need to review it or something like that. Probably not going to go back and watch it. But I will watch the second one. Ashley wants to watch the second one because I was like, there's Venom 2, right? She's like, oh, well, now we got to see Venom 2. And I was like, we're not. But she wants to see it. We'll end up watching it.
Well, you should get Taylor because otherwise she'd have found it anyway. So
probably. Very, very likely.
Well, the good news, you get to watch Batman this week. It's going to be on, in 2 days, I think.
Oh yeah, we told Claire about that. She was like, oh, really? She loves that movie.
It's going to be on repeat.
Loves it.
I want to see it a second time. I really do because I enjoyed it. And, just from watching it when it first came out and then hearing everybody talk about it so much since then, it's like, okay, I want to go back and see some of these things that I didn't notice or people talked about and, get a second viewing of it. So it'll be fun. He is our new Batman, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I was going to say all the news is going around. I mean, I thought that the Ezra Miller thing was kind of a joke, but, it still has traction in articles that, everyone's like, well, DC had a secret meeting. And like, no, DC didn't have a secret meeting. No one said anything. But the fans are clamoring to get the other Flash dude in there. And, I mean, rightfully so.
No.
Grant Gustin?
No.
Yeah, I mean, only rightfully so because the guy did a good job on the show. The story writing is a whole different story. I can't speak to that. Everyone fell off of that show because of the story writing at some point or another. But, now AT&T has their hands out of the HBO WB, plot. So now that it's all going to be under the Discovery umbrella, who knows if they're going to come in and bring a new DC runner in, someone to actually run the whole entire gamut of creating a new universe. It just feels like here we are again. It's like, stop. Go, stop.
It feels
again.
like Panthers.
No.
Panthers football.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. I mean, I hope it doesn't, but I don't really know. I guess if I hope it doesn't, then what am I really hoping for? I just want good DC content. Just good DC movies. I don't care about connection or anything else anymore. I just want to see some good DC movies. And you know what? Got a good Batman movie. So I'm getting what I wanted with that. We're going to see what happens in the future with the rest of them.
I think that they should take a minimum of a 5-year break and not put anything out.
Ooh,
I don't do that. I know.
Rich people want money, man. Rightfully so.
Turn around.
Rightfully so.
And actually come up with something, shows, movies, everything else. Build the universe. You know, I don't care if they use Pattinson. I don't care if they, you know, all the shows that they have right now, or what can you do with them? I don't know who
Look,
you have. You gotta have someone in charge. You gotta have someone.
what they should have done.
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess I should have.
Yeah. Well, I know what they should have. What they still can do. But
There you go.
it'd take a lot of work. Is do exactly what they did in the DC animated universe. Me and Nathan were talking about this the other day about how fantastic that universe is put together. All those movies strung together, exactly like Phase 1, 2, and 3 of Avengers. The MCU, where they're all these movies building up to one point to a big ending. And the difference was, instead of introducing characters individually in solo movies, they dropped everybody into the first movie at one time. At the very first with Justice League War, which was great, where they're all meeting each other then, and then after that, it's brought out to individual stories, individual movies where they come back together towards the end. They should have followed that formula with this. And I think they were kind of sort of trying to do that, but I would love to see just take everything in the DC animated universe and just make it live action. And it's going to be good. I'll watch every one of them. I'm ready.
I mean, I'm not gonna contest it. There's so many paths forward, and I feel like they keep jumping. It's like a bowling alley, man. Like your ball's in the wrong lane. Get back in your own lane. Stay in your lane. Stay there. Figure out your plan and just go with it.
Well, I mean, the problem is you do have to worry about like image and what people think about you. What fans are going to say about you, and it's one of those things where Marvel has cracked the code. They've got a great plan. They put out great movies. They had a great story going forward and everything else. Now, if you do that model, we were just copying Marvel. We want something different. But if you do something different, well, why can't you just do it like Marvel? Like it's so you're always
damn you do, damn you don't.
Exactly. They're always like in that point at that point. So I mean,
You're gonna be that way no matter what. I mean, once again, here we are. Star Wars fans on both sides of the fence. And there's an enormous fence between them. Everything. I mean, literally, I don't think Star Trek's gonna find the same kind of thing, especially now they have so much going on at one time. But then again, luckily, most Star Trek fans are pretty dang peaceful, so you don't get a whole lot of contention.
Yeah, the only time it's like you might get a little bit because you have like these diehards that feel like, well, it's not Trek enough.
Yeah, because right, Star Wars and the OT fans.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, same thing.
Yeah.
Everyone clamors for something. But speaking of Star Wars, we get Visions again. We're getting a whole new season of that. Apparently this year too.
Awesome. I enjoyed that series.
Well,
Down for it. We got a date,
nuts.
or just sometime this year.
Just sometime this year is what they said. Some of the episodes from the first season are going to get like a sequel carry on, and then the other ones are just going to be
just new stories.
New stories. Yeah.
I mean, some of them didn't need. You really couldn't continue some of them. I guess some of them were just short snippets. Other ones seemed.
I mean,
like
the whole thing was just a let's see what throw it at the wall, see what sticks. So
it was successful.
For all mankind, if you ever get Apple TV, that's a show that I truly enjoy. It's coming back with its third season. Really like it.
Oh, nice.
If you haven't watched For All Mankind, watch it. It's really good.
I always forget about the Apple TV stuff.
Well, when I get it, it's going to be so much stuff for me to catch up on.
Yeah. So hurry up, watch Picard, finish Rebels. What else?
Greg, if you don't finish Rebels, we're going to hold you down with your eyeballs open. You hear me?
Yes, I know. That's one show I wish if I could get my wife into that, then I know I would finish it. Because once I get her into something, it's what's on until there's no more to watch.
Watch it when you're working till 2:30 in the morning. It's not going to distract you a whole lot.
Yeah, could do that. I don't know. I'm going to get Rebels watched. I'm going to get it watched. I got a season and a half left. How many seasons are there? 4?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a few episodes into season 2. So, yeah. 2.
So you haven't gotten the end of season 2 yet?
I'm a little into season 2. Just the tip. But,
Dude, you need full.
So much information.
Yeah. I don't worry. When's Obi-Wan come out?
Into May?
Oh, I got plenty of time. Just need 3 days off. 3 days off with nothing that I have to do, and I can finish Rebels. No problem.
So
we
you
all know
want to
how in our
be a teenager again.
right.
Because
We
you're
all
an
know how
adult.
often that happens in our adult lives. 3 days off with absolutely nothing to do. No. But I'll get it
No,
covered.
I'm lucky to get 3 minutes and just.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
There we go.
You realize I'm not saying word right.
Mhm.
All right, let's get into some shows. Unless you got anything else you want to talk about.
No, I think that's really it.
I want to start with, since the other two are on Paramount, let's start with Moon Knight, especially because, Sarah, I haven't heard a lot of your thoughts on Moon Knight except for the last little snippet you told me, and I kind of want to know what's up. What's up with Moon Knight and you?
I was actually talking to Brian about this the other day. Matter of fact, yeah, I think it was maybe yesterday. I don't know. I don't know what in the hell's going on. I'm like, there's just, I think I do, but I'm just like, what the? This is like some chaotic shit going on because you've got this dude. I'm like, are you Steven or are you Mark? Who the fuck are you? Maybe because I know absolutely nothing about Moonlight. Even my son, he says, Moonlight is basically Batman. I'm like, I would say to a certain degree, but no,
Right.
absolutely not. Not the way it's being portrayed.
Right.
Well, from what little bit I know. But man, it is all over the place. Now, I have no problem with anything that has an Egyptian base or, some kind of Egyptian mythology or whatnot. I mean, I can follow that pretty well. But I guess with all these avatars, so basically you have all these gods, they have all their avatars. We're trying to keep the guy that was the former avatar from waking this particular goddess. I think it's a goddess, god or goddess, whatever. I couldn't quite figure out. It's Amit, whichever one that is. So we're basically trying to keep that one from waking up. But I mean, it's just so all over the place.
It definitely is. Honestly, up until this episode this week, I was really, really confused about a lot of stuff going on. It's starting to play out a little easier for me now. I'm starting to kind of understand the story a little better, or at least I'm focused more on where they're going with it now. But yeah, I definitely get what you mean. It's kind of a what the hell's going on,
and we're already on 3.
Yeah, I'm glad that it's starting to take shape at least
together.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Like I said, it was very, very confusing the first few episodes, and I don't know. I'm enjoying Oscar Isaac's performance, and I love him being able. And of course, I know he's not doing it on screen at the same time, but turning on and off the different characters.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's doing a good job with it. We're getting a lot more looks at the suit now.
Yeah.
Which I hate.
You hate the suit. Do you hate Steven's suit or Mark's suit, or both?
I don't hate the suit as much as I hate the CGI that they're using for the suit.
You don't like that crescent moon cape?
They did it again. I don't even care about the crescent moon cape. Like, that wasn't even a thing for me. What's a thing for me is just watching him move in it and seeing how, once again, it's defying the laws of gravity and logic. I mean, like, the way that he's moving around isn't how you would expect one person to move if they were fighting, especially in any sort of suit. But anything that flows, every time I see it, I told you in the first episode, I had 2 flaws. Both of them were CGI related. The second one, I was like, this one I liked a whole lot better. The third one, as soon as I was watching him fight again and getting stabbed and, with spears, and I'm like, why? Why does it have to do this? Like, I watch Halo and I'm amazed in Halo. Like, the CGI looks so real. I love it. Like, I don't know how what kind of like resolution or anything else you guys are watching it, but I'm like enthralled with it. But when I watch Moon Knight fight, and I'm like, oh, maybe I need to watch it on my phone, and maybe that's my problem. I just need to not pay attention to like the flaws. But that's the only thing that I have a problem with this show right now. It's only been the CGI with the suit and with that one truck scene in the first episode.
Dude, go back and watch it on a tube TV. You'll be good. You'll be like, this is amazing. It's weird because I know I'm a huge Batman fan, right? Okay. But it does seem weird here. And I've always kind of thought this about Batman too. Heroes that have capes that don't fly. Like, the cape's got to serve another purpose. And Batman uses it for different things. And I guess Moon Knight does here too, kind of do his little parachute type crescent moon, whatever. But it just seems like if you're going to have a guy with a cape on, I know the suit's CGI, but why wouldn't you just put a real cape on the person? That way you get the most
I don't know.
natural effect and flow of the suit of a cape.
I didn't have a problem
Although,
with the last episode. He ran all over those rooftops.
although Superman's cape game is amazing in Man of Steel. Like, that's a really really good job. But yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't just have a practical suit or practical cape. But once again, I don't know how all these things work. I don't know how difficult that would be. So
They do all of the I don't know. I think they still call it assembled shows. So for all the Marvel shows, they always do like the behind the scenes thing coming out, and it gives you a whole spiel on like how they made it. And I'm waiting to see where they're wearing dots and where they're not. I've seen a couple like behind the scenes, like someone took a picture of the dude like he was walking from the trailer, but nothing that has given me a clear idea on what they're doing CGI wise. I can only tell you that my eyes can pick it up immediately, and it takes me out of it. Like I said it in the first episode, it just takes me out of it. And I hate it. I don't want to be the snob, but at the same time, like Marvel is good at this. I don't know why it's such a struggle. Like I've never had a problem with Thor's cape. I've never had a problem with just about any of their CGI. Even the stuff that is point out in flaws. Like when you watch it like the sixth time, you're like, oh wow, like there's a dude in the background who never got CGI'd out. Even then, like I don't care, but this is really bothersome to me.
yeah, do you think I don't know. It is weird. I don't notice it as much as what you're saying. Like I tried to pay more attention to the cape because I've noticed you said that. I don't know. For me, it's just not as big of a problem. But I still once again don't get why they wouldn't have a. I don't know why the suit's not a practical suit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, granted, I know when you do that, you can't do the special effects of it coming on and coming off, but you rarely see that anyway. You usually just see him in it or see him out of it. That should be a practical suit.
I mean, the suit is all practical. Now, the Moon Knight suit, I'm not sure. Like I said, what degree that it actually is,
Right.
and they can use any logic that they want to. Like it's a god, so I mean, is Khonshu giving him magic? And the thing is just literally on its own pulling a Doctor Strange. Just like it does what it wants to do.
Yeah.
We don't know any of that stuff, but I just it doesn't flow like my brain would expect it to. But then they turn around and they give me that awesome, like Egyptian Marvel intro to this episode. I'm like I love it. Like the music, the Marvels bit. The show itself is really good. I mean, you said that this week there was a running theme of essentially like learning about the past of the characters, and they gave us a whole new persona or identity, I guess, of Mark.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people have rumored that it's the Jake, I believe, is the one that they're going with, because he has that disorder. Yes, khakis and all. That he has that disorder. So I don't know how many like there actually are, because I don't know that much about Moon Knight. I do know that he has more than just Mark. So,
and I think that's what's throwing me off is the whole dissociative thing, because I'm like, who is the main person?
It's got to be Mark, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is it Mark?
Yeah,
So
because
then
he
you
even said in this one he's had it under control. I'm assuming he's talking about Steven for a while up until recently. So I'm assuming it's something that he felt like he could control.
Well, and that does make sense, especially the fact that married to God, who's the girl?
Layla.
Like I said, they don't.
Layla.
Yeah, so that's what I'm just like. Oh, there's a lot trying to put together here, and maybe it's because I'm like watching it like late at night and kind of falling out. Phone hit me in the face, that kind of thing. So I'm like, hold on, let me rewind this for a minute.
Let's talk about Layla. Well, actually, were you going to say something else?
I was going to say that she said something very important, and it made me realize the same thing that you were saying this whole week as a theme. She said that, like, every single time that I think that I figure out everything about you, you bring up something new, and like it's tiresome, like it comes to that point in your life to where it's like I thought that I knew everything about you, and like here we are again, and I'm still learning stuff that is troublesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bring that up again in another show, but that was very key to like where my mind was just watching it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, things from the past come back to haunt you.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly right. Let's see. So let's go and get some. Oh, let's talk about Layla. She is more than meets the eye. She's kind of a badass. Was she eating pickled marshmallows? Well, what did that lady grab out of the jar? Was that that this thing's had to be spiked, right? That was like
In the very
marshmallows soaked
beginning?
in Everclear. Yeah.
That
When
wasn't her
she was getting the
mom.
passport made,
Yeah,
was
that
that her
wasn't her
mom?
mom. I think it was her mom.
I didn't pick up on that.
I'm be dead honest with you. At the very beginning, I realized that they were making passports and what they were doing, but I put it on and immediately got distracted. I did watch everything from that point on, but like that very opening scene was they were having their own little therapy session where she was talking to the woman. I didn't know if it was her mom or not.
Yeah,
I think
I
it is
didn't
her
think about
mom.
it being her mom, but I guess it could have been. I mean, she seemed like she cared about her. Yeah.
So she was a human, a good human. Let me say
Yeah.
that the way a human's supposed to be.
I like how in this episode specifically, like you see more of a struggle between Mark and Steven. Like during battles, every time you walk by something, Steven's at trying to get out. I still don't understand the whole control thing because, like, if Mark just gives him control back, can't he just retake it next time he falls asleep? Because isn't that what he does every night anyway? Like, why is he so scared of not being able to get it back?
What it appears to be is that whenever Stephen unknowingly released his conscience every single night, that he would go to sleep. Okay, so he didn't know what was going on when he was going to sleep, and that's why he started to tether himself to the bed and figure out all those other things that he needed to do. So apparently, like when you let your conscious slip and you go to sleep or get knocked out or like any of those types of things, it opens the door. Like it's very much Jane from Doom Patrol.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if no one's upstairs, then someone has to go upstairs. And when Mark goes to sleep, or Steven goes to sleep, Mark comes out to play, which it's Mark's body anyway. It's just that Steven finally like went to sleep. So what I think the control aspect is that Mark was in the control all the time, and then maybe he started to realize is that like when he would go to sleep, he was doing other things, and that's when he was losing control. And then eventually, like it slid into Steven having his own life, and he probably did it for a couple weeks or months, and that's why Layla was trying to find him. And then Steven only came out to play like a couple times, and like he was trying to hide Khonshu away from Layla because he was probably threatened by Khonshu that if he doesn't get his act together, Khonshu probably saw like him slipping between the personalities, that he was going to come and nab his girlfriend because she was a badass too and could handle her own, so she didn't have issues like that.
I like your logic. That makes total sense. Everything you just said. So yeah, like it a lot.
Be $25 an hour.
Yeah. So Khonshu's an interesting character. You get to know more about him. We get to meet some of the other gods. There's obviously a love interest that Khonshu had, or a close friend. I'm not sure. Maybe it's not a love interest. The council or the meeting of the gods is what I'm calling it. It was interesting because here you have an actual god who's telling you this. Then you have a person who's just a person, right? Like, what's his name? I had it written down here because I can't even starts with an A. I can't even remember it. Ethan Hawke's character.
Oh,
He's just a
Hera.
person now, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
And they
Well,
let him in, and they believe him just like that.
That's
over
what
the
I'm
word of-
confused over because all these people are, I guess, the avatars of the gods, correct? So was he a past avatar of Khonshu?
Yes. And
Okay.
we're yet to learn how he.
So
He's a
now,
current
and that might be
avatar.
one of the reasons why they're like, they know Khonshu because he sounded like a child. Even though, it's kind of like he would stomp and, he wasn't getting his way. He's like, he's a bad guy.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
And so, and you're bringing Harrow in, and it's like, okay, well, hey, been there, done that. He got me in trouble, even though I was his avatar. And now you have Mark over here looking like he's about to lose his freaking mind because he is unwell. So, and I'm just like, what? That's why he's like, what is going on right here?
Yeah.
What is going on?
It just seems like to me in that moment, being gods, you'd be able to figure out one way or the other without either of them telling you what's really happening. And if you couldn't, based on what they told you, a little bit of investigation before you sentence should be in order. I feel it was kind of weird. I was like, Uh-oh, here we go. So Kevin says the other gods are in on it. Well, that
So
makes more sense.
what it one of the best parts about this episode was the unveiling of the villain plan. And so Harrow, however you want to pronounce his name, at the end of the day is playing everyone because no one knows unless unless like something like Kevin saying is right. No one knows that he's trying to find the other god
So
that was banished,
Mhm.
and he's already her avatar. He channels
yeah,
her power. That's where he's getting it from.
okay.
And so if he's hiding that and masking that, then he's playing, uh, he's just shut up and coloring while everyone else thinks that he's just a simpleton who used to be a part of it.
I love that.
So
Shut up and coloring. That's great.
I don't know what else you can do to actually try to mask your master plan. And then as soon as Khonshu at the end is sucked into the stone totem thing that they create for him, he's out of the way because Khonshu's probably the only one crazy enough. We've seen this in multiple movies and TV shows. He's the only one crazy enough to stop Harrow from doing what he's doing. And so as long as he's playing nice with the other gods and keeping his mouth shut, all he had to do was just, keep picking on Khonshu and Moon Knight until it reached that point in time to where it's like, oh, now they no longer trust him, and now we have our end.
Good point.
Because nobody suspects him. The whole point of him talking of Mark or Stephen talking to the other god, like before Khonshu was channeled through him, was the friend moment. Like that's probably going to be the liaison that he needs later on in order to try to be like, look, here's my proof, and I need you to like bring Khonshu back so I can have that power back. So
Fair point. So with Khonshu now being in stone, his power should still be able, or they should still have Moon Knight through the Avatar, right? Because if the other goddess is, I don't know. I'm assuming. Do we have just a powerless Steven now?
I think he's just going to go for a walk and realize the suit doesn't show up when he needs it. Because it fits the bill. They're now going to be in episode 4. If it fits the bill for him to figure out in the 4th episode how to come up with a plan to get Harrow, how to come up with a plan to get Khonshu, make the 5th episode the struggle for him to do it, and the 6th one for him to come in and save everyone's ass and save the world, it's a perfect 3-episode combination.
You raise good points. I think they might be going in that direction. I'm still wondering how this is all going to tie in, or how they would tie this into the MCU. And I was thinking about that earlier. What is the timeline of this series?
I don't know if this one's been officially revealed yet. Probably has through somewhere else, but I mean, at the end of the day, what you have is they're pointing out that one of the Black Panther comic book people was in the temple with the rest of the gods. You have that connection, so like they could come out with the Wakanda storyline in the next Black Panther movie. They could be just trying to figure out how to come up with I don't know, I guess, like I said before, like an outside of the U.S. Avengers kind of, category. Yeah. Avengers worldwide.
Yeah. I don't know.
Top flight security of the world, Greg.
Yeah. I just want to see how they're going to tie it in. I'm not saying they can't because it's Marvel. They'll figure a way out. The timeline just kind of came in my mind because there are the two sky altering events. It's how he summons the gods, or how he does something that they can't ignore. Cool. How he said it. Which one was cool? Eclipse of the sun, no big deal. That happens. Okay. The other one was turning back the stars, and that's why I was thinking about. I was like, wait a second. If he did this like during phase 1, 2, or 3, wouldn't somebody have seen that or known about it? Like, wouldn't that be like
everyone's been saying
world-changing event? Makes me think it was probably after. I don't know, because all I know is every time I watch Moon Knight, every single time, the damn algorithm wants me to watch Eternals after it. And I'm like, no, I've already seen that movie. I don't want to watch it again. Like every single time, though, it's like, hey, check out Eternals if you like this. I'm like, nah, not quite the same, but.
Well, we know a bunch of the other ones. Like Hawkeye was, I believe, 2024. what was the show before that? Was it Loki? Doesn't really matter. That can be whenever.
Yeah, it can. It's just
There's so much of it that's gonna come into playing a role. I don't. You're right. Like how there was a great meme, and it was there's that scene in Endgame where they're like, there's an underwater earthquake, and like, well, we'll concern ourselves with it when we concern ourselves with it. And they're saying the same thing about this one when he's turning back the moon. It's like, it's not our big deal. Like, we don't have to worry about that right now. It's just the stars moving.
yeah.
No one's killing anybody.
It only happened for a second, y'all. Just leave it 30 seconds. Kevin in the chat says he thinks Kang shows up in this show somehow.
Hey, I want to see him sprinkled. If they don't use him and start peppering him in now, because they need to do a better job than they did with Thanos, or else how do you top Thanos? You need a more diabolical, in your face, if Kang is so many different iterations, we need to see that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if we see him in this or not. I don't really care. It'd be cool, but it's not going to disappoint me if we don't. Because it's not something I'm expecting to, or watching the show because I wanted to see that. But it'd be cool. You're right. They do need to pepper it a little more. I think they did a good job with Thanos. Minus changing his look.
I'm not saying they did.
Optimize it. Okay.
All I'm saying is that how do you move on to the next thing? Make the next thing better. To make the next thing better, you want to see him come in and play all the different roles that he could possibly play.
Okay. Kevin says Kang in the comics goes back and was an Egyptian king. I did not know that. So maybe that is something they're going to tie into it. It's a good point. Time will tell. 3 episodes left. Ross, you gave the
Time will tell.
Yeah. You gave the pathway, which they're probably going to follow because I'm sure they listen to the show. And they're like, hey, let's do what these guys say. But no, you're probably right. That is kind of the standard formula for what's going on right here. And I'm sure it's probably going to end up working out very similar to that. But, I'm trying to think. So I think it's funny that well, I guess not really. The more I think about it, that Steven doesn't have. I keep wanting to say John because I'm thinking Halo. Doesn't have Mark's knowledge, and Mark doesn't have Steven's knowledge, about things. So they would need Steven for the more book side history stuff with Egyptian whatnot, and they need Mark for everything else that there is to do. So interesting, because I just feel like you could just ask Mark, but then again, or ask Steven, but I guess he wouldn't. He said he wasn't going to do it without coming out. So they came out that one time in the fight.
All these pieces of paper, and this fool tapes to dig together a star.
Yeah,
all the things that they were trying to do while he's sitting in there, while he goes into the mystical glass pyramid of the rich dude, everything blows up, and they just need to scavenge the last little pieces. All these things happen. Then Steven comes in and tapes together a star, and that's what solved the problem. I was like, they could have done a little bit something different than that. Yeah. At least make a balloon draft. I don't know. All you do is tape together a few pieces of paper into a star.
And he did it like he knew how to do it, immediately. Oh, this is. I read in books. This is what they did. They made shapes out of stars and whatnot. Yep. Kevin says, I wonder if Steve's been calling when he calls his mom. I asked that a few weeks ago, Kev. I was because it actually kind of explains it now, or they dove a little bit into it whenever you first met Layla, and she was talking about he said something about his mom. And she says, "Oh, y'all are talking now." So I don't know where they're going. I don't know if we'll ever hear anything about that or ever find out an answer about that. But
seems like
we haven't seen him call his mom in a few episodes.
Yeah, I think what we were saying was that it was almost like Steven was calling his mom because Mark couldn't talk to his mom.
Right.
So it was like that part of the brain playing tricks on him.
Right. Well, the question is, who's he actually calling? Is he calling his mom? Because whoever he's calling, he's leaving a long conversation message on the answer machine, like he's talking to somebody.
Do they never answer the phone?
Who are you? Are you going to answer the phone for someone who says "laters gators" every single time they get off the phone? I'm like, oh my god, this guy again.
Oh, I'm so going to sign.
Well, if it was my youngin', I would hope so. Because then if kids say crazy stuff.
Yeah. I don't know, man. We'll have to wait and see. trying to think.
I'm gonna stick with it because I do have a little bit of interest in it, but I'm like, okay, can we like just chop chop chip here? Let's get to where we're going.
I have liked all of the Marvel shows, and my qualms with any of them have been very, very small. And like just for this show, like once it's done, if it tells a good story, I'm on board.
Mhm.
Like if my only qualms are the CGI of the suit, that's on me. But I will take it and I will own
Watch
it.
it on your
I'll tell you
phone.
right now. Yeah, like everything else, like I still stand by, like really enjoying what they did with WandaVision, and everything else from that point on has told a different story and a different tone. And it's been really cool.
I've enjoyed. Yeah, I've enjoyed all the Marvel shows. I mean, there's nothing that
Mhm.
I've hated. Some more than others, but they've done a good job. It's Marvel, man. But like I said, everything they put out is decent, and decent is kind of still underselling it, or yeah, it's underselling it. Like they're
Think about Venom. Think about Venom, and then say what you want to say.
That's a great point. That's a very, very good point. I think the worst Marvel movie is better than the best Venom movie. Yeah, so there you go. That's a good point.
Perspective.
Kevin, Kevin in the chat says the postcards he has at his place look like the ones at his job. That's something I never noticed. Did y'all know? I didn't even notice postcards at his place. I don't pay that much attention to it, I suppose.
He's a fool for his work, man. There's a reason why that Steven went to go do what he did. There's a reason why that identity advanced in that direction. So just like the whole mom situation, like why is he calling his mom or whoever it is that he's calling? And he keeps saying that it's his mom. It's got to be because his brain is trying to do something. And even though that he has a split, associative identity disorder,
Dissociative
whatever
disorder.
dissociative disorder. Even though he has that, whatever's in him is still trying to get out. Dun-dunts. So
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. So we're what, halfway through?
Halfway
now?
through. Mhm.
Halfway through Moon Knight, so almost there. I'm enjoying it so far. Once again, another Marvel show. I just wonder, like I said, are we going to see this on big screen? Are we gonna? I just have so many questions about where Marvel goes in the future, but it's a lot of things that I just really don't want answered until it happens. Just let me see it. Let me be surprised because I'm pretty sure Marvel's going to do a pretty good job of it.
I think you're going to see all these characters on the big screen. I think that this is their way of basically pulling the Band-Aid off for you. I will say that as the shows have gone on, like now that, like, let's see, we had WandaVision, we had
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Falcon and
Mhm.
Winter Soldier.
We had Loki.
Then was Loki after that?
No, Loki. The animated one was before Loki, wasn't it? Loki
Okay,
was
well,
the
the animated one counts, but I'm not going to count it for this right here,
Okay.
right now, because it kind of told a bunch of different stories.
Yeah. Well, then there was Loki and then Hawkeye, right?
Hawkeye. And I feel like as things have progressed with the show, and it could just be because like all this started kicking off whenever like COVID and everyone being home, I find the shows starting to. I think the week to week schedule is starting to kind of tick me off a little bit because I'm like, I want to see it all. Like, I know that I don't want to be pissed off and be that kind of person, be like, give it to me now. I do think that I am only struggling because I know these episodes are short or these seasons are short and I want to see them quickly. Like, I want to see all of it come out. But
Right.
Yeah, because 6 episodes. I mean, that's pretty damn short.
yeah.
But would you
it's
rather have a
still-
2-hour movie?
It's, yeah, I was going to say, because it's still longer than a movie and they're still able
Mhm.
to pull off quite a bit. So, not
I'd
to mention.
still rather have it like just go ahead and group it all together and just throw it out there. I don't
Yeah.
care if it's 2 hours or not. I mean, still,
Yeah.
it's like just 6 weeks worth. I mean, that's just kind of crazy to me. I don't know. I'm impatient. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah. Y'all are as fans. Kevin in the chat says his peak love for Marvel ended with Endgame. Very fittingly.
Yeah.
Or very fitting. And he says he still loves it, just not the same. And honestly, I'm the same way with you. Like, I don't know if I'll ever love anything else Marvel does as much as I'd love the build up and the hype into Endgame. But maybe
that was a
I will.
10-year investment. I mean, it's
It
like,
was.
that was a hell of a payoff.
It was a fun ride, man. It was a real fun ride.
That right there is the point that I always try to make to people. I'm like, no one was deeply rooted into the Marvel universe until like by the time like after the first Avengers movie.
Mhm.
The first Avengers movie brought everyone brought that possibility to life for people. And then everyone was like, Iron Man was a big thing. Hulk was a flop. Captain America was cool. People like to see it. I mean, all the movies were really good. And then Avengers showed you what they could do. But by the time we made it to Infinity War, I mean, everyone was getting on board because the hype was really ramping up. I mean, I saw the patch today that said Infinity War veteran, like with the war ribbons and stuff on it.
Yeah.
There's Clone Wars veteran and Infinity War veteran. And I was like, those are badass because that's how you feel after going through that whole 23 plus saga. And I mean, I'm with you, but at the same time, I'm really trying to keep my expectations low because I know that they're starting over, they're building over again. And even though all the things that we have loved, I am a humongous Iron Man fan. I'm not going to really get to see like Iron Man again. And I know that to still be like in this universe, like I love all the Marvel stuff. I just have to be the patient and be like, they can do it again because they did it once. They did it fantastic. But right now, I'm like, I just need to breathe, probably is what I need to do. Just go watch all the other stuff that I didn't watch because I was too busy watching all the Marvel movies over and over again.
And, I also got to think about it like me and Kevin are saying here, and I guess Ross, you're kind of agreeing with us. It's just that peak moment. Imagine, though, that you're 8 years old when Iron Man comes out. Like, and what your mindset would be right now. I imagine it would be a lot different than what I'm feeling. And even with all the Marvel movies that are out, which I love, they're great movies, I still don't enjoy the Marvel reading nearly as much as I do other companies. So while I feel like they've nailed the movies, modern day writing, like there was a period, me and Nathan were talking about this the other day, there was a period of Marvel writing where it was just prime writing. And a lot of these stories for these movies are pulled from that time period. So there was so I don't know, maybe that's what it is.
People making these movies and being a part of it.
And then that might be what it is.
That's where their love from it came from.
Yeah, because maybe the last series of movies were like from my time frame, from the stories that I enjoyed reading, and now we're gonna get stuff I'm not nearly as familiar with, and maybe that's why I'm not as excited for it. I mean, when you tell me there's gonna be a Civil War, and I'm like, okay, cool, like I'm down for that awesome storyline. Of course, they took liberties with it, which they would have to, and I'm fine with that because they did a good job. But I think maybe that might be it. Maybe that's why I'm not as excited for the next phase of Marvel. A little bit of fatigue, and I'm not as knowledgeable about Marvel going forward past a certain point because my Marvel reading stopped a few years ago. I've tried with a few things, really have, but nothing's stuck.
The Infinity Saga is like the best way that I can tell people is like imagine. I mean, if you were an original trilogy Star Wars kid, I was. And that was my jam. That was 3 movies, and everything else that I had was apparently all now in the wind. All those extended universe stories. But that's what I had. We didn't have content like we have now. Like now, the Infinity Saga is kids' original trilogy. Even to me, like I don't know if anything will top it. But then again, they came out with 1, 2, and 3, and 3 was a badass movie for Star Wars. So even then, that they could turn around and do something. It's just going to take a while. Like you said, the fatigue is real. It's real for everybody. You struggle with fatigue in different fandoms in different ways. But for Marvel, it's very much like they did a fantastic thing, and how do we move on from that?
I think psychologically, not psychologically, but socially, Marvel has done something for at least America, or at least where I'm at too. Whereas, like for the longest time, we were always had something to look forward to. Marvel, we knew it was going on, we knew it was coming up. Or like new Marvel content coming out was like a standard. Then COVID hit and things started to go down. Now bringing Marvel back in is starting to give people more of a sense of normalcy in life, bringing the shows back in at a time. So I think that's part of what Marvel has with people right there, is making them feel Marvel became such a normal part of life, like new Marvel content coming out, that when it stopped, it almost was a good point for it to stop, because it was a point where a lot of people seemed a little fatigued after Endgame, and now that gave us a little break. Now we have Marvel coming back into our lives on a more scheduled basis. Helps out a little bit.
I love the when San Diego Comic-Con they did that Marvel therapy, the in-game therapy, like tent or booth or whatever it was, to where it's like, if you have PTSD from everything that happened, come and talk about it. I mean, it's just because it was hilarious. Like, it's funny because I mean, like, when you get done with that movie, you're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
he picked up the hammer, lightning came, like all these things happened, and like then Iron Man died, and then everyone's back, and what happens? How does it? Boom! Like you just don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Agreed.
Well, it took me 3 times to watch Infinity War before I could watch without tears streaming down my face.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't with this.
I'll tell you some stories about that one when we get done.
Yeah, there's still a couple tearjerker moments in that movie. Kevin says it's how he felt about the Dark Knight trilogy. He wanted to see another Batman after that with a new Bruce Wayne. Yeah, I agree. It's weird though, because I don't think you can. Well, especially with the way Marvel has their universe, I don't think you can do like just introduce another Iron Man. Have another Iron Man movie, because
That's solidified.
That's the problem with the structure of their universe. Is once something's gone, it's gone.
Well,
like
Tony Stark's gone.
Yeah, true.
I mean, there's a whole lot that's gone. Yeah, I thought that's what he was going to say. He didn't want to see another Batman. I thought that's where he was going to go. Yeah.
Okay.
So after the Dark Knight, you're like, nope, that's the Batman. Like, that's the one I wanted. That's what I need to see, and like, that's it. I was like, because that's how I felt when I watched it. And how did I not know that? Did I just blink out the knowledge that Josh Brolin was going to be Batman and Batfleck beat him? I didn't know that he had tried out, and it was like right up to the end of like he was going to be Batman in the Snyderverse.
Oh, I can't say that.
Yeah, I know. Well, you have to really think about it, but I mean, I didn't know that until like a couple days ago. I'm like, wait a second, did I just dump that knowledge, or like what happened?
Probably. Yes.
I mean, I could see it. I couldn't see a lot of people that they've cast for Batman. I couldn't see Ben Affleck doing whatever they cast him for it. But somebody looks good in the cowl. That's all you really need. Good voice looks good in the cowl.
You just need good lips and good white eyes.
Sometimes you need more than that. You have to growl.
Oh my god.
All right, we were talking about Moon Knight. Was there anything else y'all wanted to? We went on a Marvel squirrel there, chasing Marvel squirrel. Anything else y'all want to bring up about Moon Knight?
I did like the CG of the turning back the stars. So for all the other CG that I don't like, I did like what they were doing with that. Even though, like, I know it makes no sense, and like, where are the rest of the heroes when you need them, or someone to flag that thing from happening? Oscar Isaac had they had a whole jacket callback from like Force Awakens. He was talking about how he loved the jacket, like when he got stabbed and he was changing in the car. I'm like, is that a Star Wars callback for Oscar Isaac?
Might be. They like doing that.
I mean, beyond that, no. I mean, I like the episode. Once again, one problem. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. Going to continue to watch for the show, and because it's a great series.
The temple, the tunnels, the pyramid of Giza.
That was what was inside of it.
Yeah.
Like, really? Okay.
Always find way to make reflections pop out of nowhere where reflections shouldn't be, so that he can talk to himself internally. So,
yes, which is kind of weird that he has to see himself in a mirror to be able to talk to himself. But I don't know the rules of that game, so I can't really say it's not right. Let's see. Kevin says he doesn't know why movie theaters don't show these for specials. Yeah. I tell you what, Kevin.
I'm pretty sure there's an agreement somewhere where they're not allowed to.
Oh, don't worry. When I open the Watchtower here in Walnut Cove in a couple of years, there will be all kinds of stuff like this at my drive-in theater.
And this episode of this podcast right here, right now, will be the reason why you get shut down.
Probably so. No. I'm in tight with all those studios, so that's why I have the intro. Just do whatever I want. The trick is if you don't make money with what you're doing, you really do whatever you want to do. So.
It's called passion.
Drive-in theater. That's right, just for passion. But no, I am trying to open a drive-in theater. Hopefully within the next few years it'll be fine. We'll see. Probably never happen, but if it does, y'all come check it out. All right, let's go on to Paramount Plus shows. Which one do you want to start with?
Sarah, which one?
Let's go ahead and hit Halo.
Good call. That's what I was gonna say too, but I was like, let's see what they want. Okay, let's do Halo. Look, I really like this show, but I really need, like, the mask thing bothered me at first. Then I was like, okay, I need to see Guy's emotion. I need to see him in his full suit. One, when he should be, like when you're on a planet where you don't know anything about, not just walking around in your suit and not your helmet. And two, I need to see this guy in a suit fight, like for real. We got the opening scene of in the first episode where they take out the Covenant, but we haven't seen him do really any action in the suit since then. And it's like, I really, really need to see that. Like, I'm cool with the helmet being off sometimes, but I do want to see Master Chief in his badass uniform kicking some ass. When are we gonna get that?
Well, this is like 3 of 9 episodes.
And I think that was it the third or fourth?
No, it's like the 5th one, isn't it? No. What am I talking about?
No, it's episode 4.
Third?
It's 4.
Is it 4?
Episode 4, yeah. Homecoming.
You sure?
Yeah, it is 4 because the next one, no.
No, you're right. Yeah, it is.
Oh yes, I got it right. I said I wrote it down, but I I always doubt myself and stuff like that. So, okay, so we're at 4 episodes in, so we're almost halfway, right? It's 10 episodes.
Yeah. So I mean, like, you know that it's going to have to be a battle. You know you're going to have to get something because at the end of the day, what you're once again having is they're trying to establish, and even though like the diehard Halo fans who have their Halo up here, you know, if you don't create a good story, you can't make anyone happy.
Right.
And that's what they're trying to do. They already got signed for a second season. There's no telling where the season's going to end. They know, we don't. But if they're reaching the halfway point and we're starting to we just saw the other half. Now, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a sciencey episode next. And hopefully after that, it's just war on war on war.
I hope so, man, because I need to see some battles for real. Kevin in the chat says he played the first 33 games and has no idea what's going on. So I didn't play the games like that, or at least the storyline. I just played combat with my friends with it. I never actually played the storyline, so I really don't know a lot about what's going on other than the basic stuff, the looks, the sounds, the weapons, stuff like that. So for me, it works too. Like, I don't need to know what's going on. I don't know how far this derives from the actual storyline in the game, but I think it does quite a bit, to be honest with you, because I think you kind of had to, like you said, Ross, you got to have a story.
Yeah. I don't think that Halo the games actually, I mean, they have a story, but I don't think they have enough of a story to give you like composition, you know?
Right.
Like,
I think it's more of a mission. Like, here's your characters, you have a little bit of background, but this storyline is a mission you're on, I think.
And that's what makes a lot of people unhappy, because when you play the game, you start to develop your own headcanon with all of that stuff. How do you play a game that's just a shoot game without actually figuring out what you're shooting at and why? I mean, like, they give you a bunch of the bullet points, but you have to fill in the cracks. Mm-hmm. So I think with this, I mean, like, what's everyone doing? I mean, they're pissed off because it's not meshing with what they have in their head. And everyone else, I enjoy it. I know nothing. I know enough about Halo, like you said, just to be comfortable in the universe. Mm-hmm. I don't know anything else. I know that they changed the name or the color of the team from like gold team to silver team, and everyone was like, "What? No, no. That's not Halo." And like that right there was a big enough problem. And then, you know, taking the helmet off, that's a whole problem for other people. And at the same time, like, we can't have all of these shows with helmets on and expect just for all of them to work. I mean, you have to have some sort of like emotion and story. He is coping and going through this whole entire cycle that you have to be able to see in a different point of view.
I can agree with you on that, and that's why I don't have a problem with it being off. Now, they did do the cool view in this episode where you can see him inside his helmet where he's looking through the HUD, which we're going to talk about that in a minute, which is kind of the Iron Man way to do it, which is a good way you could still show the character. I just there's certain times where he needs to have his helmet on. Like, I'm sorry if you're that kind of warrior and you're going to a planet you don't know and you're walking around a full battle rattle anyway. Why are you holding your helmet in your head when your helmet has a heads-up display that can tell you a hell of a lot more than your eyes can? You know, like
Yeah, right.
that bothers me. Like in that situation, you wouldn't take your helmet off. You know, so those
This,
kind of things I need him to be wearing it, but not all the time. I get it. You know.
yeah, in this scenario, I mean, it's transformative.
Hmm.
They're trying to show him like instead of just going and standing at ease and waiting for the next order, he's actually looking without being told, and that's important to remember because a lot of people in the military think that when you join that you're just told, and like sometimes you have to be able to fill in the cracks. That's what turns you from bottom rank to a higher rank. You have to be able to figure out how to move forward, or else you're just going to be a peon for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
He's never been a peon. I mean, they show at the beginning, all those, maybe not the beginning of this episode, some point in the episode where they're all being trained from a young age.
That's the very beginning,
He
yeah.
was trained to be the Master Chief. That's what Halsey wanted him for. And like he spent his whole life going from being imaginative to being the straight-laced military person, and now he's finally like breaking out of that. The only way that you can show it is by him, by his face. Like
Right.
he's thinking with his eyes. Like he doesn't have to say a whole lot.
And it was interesting that they popped that one little that component at the base of her spine because Kai, she watched him do that and she's like, oh, let me try this too.
Mm-hmm.
She was weird as shit in this last episode. I'm like, dude, lady, you're scaring me because I'm like, you're just. But they did show the one thing that I've been wanting to see all throughout this episode, and I can't wait to see it in action.
That guy's butt?
Is the needler.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Because, like I said, Brian hasn't been watching this, but I was like, Brian, look at this. They got. He's like, oh shit, that is a needler, isn't it?
By far one of the coolest guns ever. I mean,
And they did what I don't understand why they wouldn't have done at any other point in time. Why wouldn't you have the people who fight and talk to these people, to the enemy, actually help the scientists figure out more about the enemy? Why are there so many clear divisions? And I think we're going to find out that's all Halsey. So,
and I'm just curious how they treat the Spartans, because the Spartans, I mean, yes, they're like the elite, but it's almost like they're mindless drones. It's like that's what they kind of created them for that.
That's exactly right. That's why they have those capsules in them. That's why when she pulls it out, she does the rebellious act of dyeing her hair. And I don't know if it was like this before, but her suit's painted red too. Got some red paint on it. I don't know if it was like that before.
Yeah, they kind of had colors in the first one in the battle.
Okay, I couldn't remember or not, but yeah, I mean that's what the point of the capsules are. Is they're not supposed to feel any kind of emotion.
Mm-mm.
Like apparently they can't even smell or taste, which is weird.
I mean, Master Chief, he's all in his feels now.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I'm like, he started to get mad. He's like, especially this past episode, looking at her like, you were at my house. Why the hell was you at my house? I'm like, oh, drama.
Back in my day, there would have been charges. You can't touch me there. That's my no-no square.
So I think I'm curious to see what next week's episode is going to entail, because he about to get mad.
Yeah. Well, we finally got a little bit more detail on this Soren and Quan storyline. I don't know how this is going to tie back into the whole thing, or if it's going to be kind of a separate storyline the whole time. But I do like Soren describing, what it's like to get your memories back, and he explains why memories are important. And then he, took him a year to remember that his father was dead, and then took him another year to remember that he killed him. I was like, wow, okay, that's crazy.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah, like insane. But I still have questions about his father, about John's father. Sarah, we talked about this last week. He's drawing the drawings, and then his dad gets really mad about the drawings, and they bury them instead of destroying them, which seems kind of pointless. But I feel like you buried them for a reason, because you didn't want them destroyed. But what did his dad know about those artifacts that made him freak out like that? Like, do people
his dad was like a horticulturist or something? I mean, because he was like that with like the plants and stuff.
Yeah. But I'm wondering what he knows about. There's something more to it we just don't know yet, I feel. but I think his dad's going to come into a bigger role, or a much bigger role with his story. Um, do you think, you know, Sarah, last week's episode was who's the bad guy? Do you think Halsey ends up being a bad guy, or she's
To
just
a certain
misunderstood?
extent, I think yes, because
Yeah.
she's masterminded all this. I mean, like I said, she was the one behind Cortana, which that was super weird how Cortana was created. Did not expect to see that in that, form or fashion. I was like, okay, that's weird. Cracked her like an egg. But anyways, so, and plus I think it's like, what is all the, like the DNA manipulation and all this kind of stuff. So basically it's like the Spartan program to me, that's just, the more you're, peeling back layers, I mean, something doesn't seem right. So I'm just kind of curious. And then also you've got Halsey's daughter. What was her name? The one that finally figured out, oh, let me ask the Spartans about the, maybe they know. But I mean, it's just a weird, I mean, it's almost like she's like one of those power hungry scientists or doctors where it's like, okay, it's my way. I want to do this, come hell or hot water. And I think that's going to start to come into play. But other than that, sorry. Saw Kevin's comment.
Yeah, Kevin says that's great
Sorry,
too.
that threw
He
me
says he's
off.
disappointed that he hadn't seen anybody get teabagged after killing someone. Halo was the first game I can remember when that was started online. Yeah, I agree, man. They need to throw a little teabagging in there. Always
Oh my
makes it
gosh.
better.
But yeah, I mean, I feel in some form or fashion, yes. I don't know if she will be the main baddie, but I feel like she's going to play a large part in that because, especially with John's story, because there, like I said, there's going to be a lot of layers that will start peeling back. He's a lot of stuff, memories he's going to start to have coming back to the surface. And after this last episode, I mean, he's getting mad, and you about to see a reaction.
Yeah. What if she's actually like working with the Covenant? What if she is like actual like the bad dad? Like she's like the inside person. She's been trying this whole time to.
I don't think she's worked the Covenant yet, but I do think that she has the potential if she's going after the next best thing. I don't think that good versus evil is a thing for her as much as it is like how do we transcend.
Okay.
Well, it's just like the human chick. What's her name? Mackie.
Mickey.
Yeah, Greg's naked
Nikki.
chick. Yeah, naked.
Nikki.
I'm like, is she tied in? Is she like John's lost sibling or something? Because I don't know if there's something she's going to tie in some form or fashion. That's probably going to like, yes,
They're gonna Star Wars it.
I mean, I'm just curious because I mean, I just have this. It's like I have this gut feeling that she's going to come in and she's going to be tied into him somehow, tied into Master Chief somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why his dad acted so weird. I don't know. Maybe there's more to the story. Maybe there'll be more to the memories that he can. I don't know.
I think the dad was just mad because there was probably some sort of policy or guideline or something that like if they were all part of these breach camps. No, it's like they're all part of these breach camps, and they weren't allowed to like go outside of like whatever circle that they were allowed to live in, and so because he goes pretty far. But I mean, like, what do you do? Like, a kid's gonna wonder, especially when there's nothing to do around except to draw and to look at plants. I mean, he had nothing else to do. So
yeah, if they let the dog out there, why can't he go?
Yeah.
Seriously.
I was like, God, sometimes that dog. Oh, that's gonna be it. Oh.
So Travis is in the chat now, and him and Kevin are sharing stories of how they used to teabag people on games. So Travis says he used to teabag people on Odd Job. Yeah, Odd Job all the time on GoldenEye. Yeah, GoldenEye, man. That was where it all started. God, I love that game. So good. Okay. Kwan's an idiot.
Yeah, look at her haircut.
But yeah.
How naive is this little girl? I mean, she's so naive.
Fucking idiot. Like, you got a wanted sign, like, floating around. Everybody knows who you are. Keep your fucking mask on or your hood on. Like, seriously. And here's the thing.
Her dad get murdered in front of her eyes. She's going to do the stupidest things possible right now.
I get that, and that's what they're trying to go with. And I'm not going through the same emotions she is, so to me it looks really stupid. But like, if you saw your dad's general, like the person that was like closest to him in command, and she says it's over. Then you see your aunt, and she says it's over. What makes you possibly believe that it's still alive? Which are they calling it a rebellion or a revolution? Because they said it a couple of different things. I'm trying to figure it out.
I mean, it's what he was trying to do was create a revolution.
Right.
I mean, he was trying to get peace for Madrigal because they're trying to pull an America scenario, right? So all these people from the Reach planet were trying to come in and get the resources from the planet, just like, much like America did with North America, or blah blah, and then turn around and be like, okay, that's cool, but now that we're here and we're living our own life, like we don't want to be a part of you. Like you can pay us for like what we're doing now. So who knows?
I don't know, man. I just feel like I get where she's coming from. I feel like for me, if I was in her position, I'd be more about revenge than I would be trying to restart a rebellion right now. I think the first thing you got to do is take care of cut the head off the snake, then you start the rebellion.
Well, I think Soren is just as naive, like helping her out. Like he knows that she ain't got nothing.
And he didn't turn her in. Like that was the whole thing, right? He's like, I'm getting paid either way. He's like, you're either going to pay me or when we get there, I'm going to turn you in.
He's got a conscience. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Well, he made John a promise that he was going to protect her.
Yeah, this guy that kicked me out and gave me 5 minutes to get away 20 years ago. I've got to keep my word with him. That was weird.
Yeah, but I mean, you and I are friends still right now. I mean,
yeah, but I
was
never
our big friendship.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't tell you to get out of Sci Tech and give you 5 minutes before I set the alarm, though. You know.
Well,
I thought about it.
You weren't as big of an asshole.
Yeah. I like the character though. I like Soren. Like he's a cool guy. Did they refer to himself as a pirate before in this episode? Because he said like 3 times this episode they referred to him as a pirate.
Yeah, I mean the Meteor crew were all pirates. So yeah, I think that the slip space, is that what they call it? Slip space?
Yes.
I love that that little scene where like he's actually where John is witnessing the slip space and what's going on, and then here you have Cortana come out with her ones and zeros. Like it's not bad. It's 10-dimensional navigation, something blah blah blah. Like it's you can't see an equation. It's a bunch of lights. It looks like it looks pretty. He just likes the way it looks.
And then John threw the emotion in there's like, be quiet, you're ruining it. Just
Yep.
be quiet.
God, you suck the fun out of everything.
Hey, how old is Halsey? She didn't look that young when John was a kid. I mean,
She's aged well. She's
aged
a fine
well,
wine. A
apparently.
fine wine.
Did they do some de-aging technology on her? Because she looked a little different, but
I think so. I think there was like just as slightly because it looked a little bit smoother than
her cheekbones were a little more.
Photoshopped her face.
Yeah.
Cut her hair.
I don't know.
I did actually find it very. I mean, this is nitpicking like crazy, but I gotta say it. When he was walking through his house, his old house, there's like this really mature tree in there, and I'm like, how long would it take a tree like that to grow? Then I'm sitting there thinking, like, how old is he? Like, do we know how old John is?
We don't, but if I had to guess, I would imagine he's
30?
30s. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
early
prime.
30s.
Yeah, he's prime male.
If you have all of them like right around that age, if he left that house, say 8 to 10, even then it just sent me down like a spiral of like trying to figure shit out in my head real fast.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what they saw from him because he was a scrawny kid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was a small. I mean, or either he was a hell of a lot younger than you think he is.
That's what I'm saying. The knowledge of of these artifacts was known before. That's why I think his dad knows something about it. Halsey knows something about it, I had a theory that everybody who was a Spartan or made that training could do the same thing, but then that actually got debunked in this one when all the Spartans tried to touch the artifact and it doesn't work. But like I said, I think there was knowledge of this artifact and the halo or the sacred ring, whatever you want to call it, before the Spartan program was even started. Now knowing who is worthy, I guess you could say, of jump starting it is one thing. I hope that we get an explanation for that and it's not just like random.
Oh, it'll be something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that the new artifact was pretty cool. Like as far as like the visuals of it went. Um, Finding, I would take it back a little bit to like the whole dad scenario. Like once again, why did they bury the time capsule with the drawings in it? Why didn't they just burn the things instead? I mean, is it illegal to burn things in that, that place? I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but at the same time, watching him go through all of that to come back and actually see what he saw, that artifact, that kid sucks at drawing because that artifact looked a whole lot cooler than it did on paper.
That's what the artifact is gonna. Okay, because I was trying to. All right, sorry, I was like on a little tangent here because you made me started thinking. I was like the artifact. Then I'm like the halo because there's like this halo, and I'm like that's where it's gonna come from.
Yep.
So that whenever they get this artifact, that's what's going to bring in the actual halos. It's like some kind of weapon or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I'm like I know it's got to come in there somewhere.
Well, before it comes in, though, you remember the Covenant's got to get control of it. Because that's part of the story. They got to get control of it, and then we got to get it back. Good guys got to get it back, right? Or stop them.
Which means you get a battle in full armor.
I'm waiting for because I'm like looking at I'm just trying to just refresh my memory here. Because then it's like, okay, you've got, like I said, the Covenant, but then it's like, are they going to bring in the Flood? The Flood are those like weird little devil nightmare looking things. And it seems like that's the one thing that I think that the Halo was created to take those little things out. I'm just trying to remember some of this stuff. Like I said, Brian played this. And I remember seeing all this. I'm like, what is that? You'd see like a broken halo and all this, and then all these god awful bug looking things. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to bed. Bye. You play. It's fine. So it's like I'm like, at least if you're going to base it on a game, at least bring in those specific items or those specific things. Like I said, we're talking about the guns. Like I said, the Needler, like the gun that Master Chief, the Spartans carry, like there's like certain things I'm like, you've got to have in here. So now it's like, we're coming up with episode 5. I'm like, are we going to finally get this? Maybe like 6 or 7. We'll finally see the Halo. Because, it's going to all these different planets.
Watch it be the finale.
Oh, wouldn't that be some shit? I'm like, damn, why you got to wait till the last one? And they probably will. You're probably right.
I'm surprised.
Good.
I actually don't remember, but I know they renewed it for season 2. I do not know if they did the 1-2 punch and do it for 2 and 3. So I'll have to look at that and see if they actually renewed it for season 2 and 3. Because if so, then they know the story they want to tell.
Right.
The simple fact that here's the problem: they dumped a whole ton of money on this one season. Like they even say it in some of the behind the scenes stuff, like it cost money, but it always does because it's startup money. Like you got to get everything started up and invested into it. It happens with everything. But like I said before, the CG is magnificent. I love it. I think the first time I saw that the opening intro for this show on my big screen, like a full on 4K, everything, blah blah blah, I'm like fantastic. Like everything looks fantastic. So when they have the universe built, what are they going to do? All they need is a story. And if they have the story, then they're going to get signed. Because even though like the diehards don't like it, it's a good show. And this is on Paramount, and Paramount needs more original content.
No, I agree.
It's a good sci-fi story. I mean, regardless of whether you know what it is or not. I mean, it still is some good sci-fi.
And you watch, everyone will come on board, especially like once the whole first season is done and everyone gets a chance to see, like most shows, if people don't see where it's going, the trouble that we have, the whole reason why we do this show is to kind of have a therapy session to talk about the things as we're watching them. Right. And so without that therapy session to kind of like help you through it as it's going on, most people wait until the end so that they know what's going to happen completely. Because they don't like sitting there week to week and being like, I have no idea what's going on. Sarah, you said it with Moon Knight. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, it's a struggle.
It is. It is. Especially, like I said, especially if it's content that you're not really familiar with.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, it's. I always have such a hard time because like there are certain things or sometimes where I look at something and I just want to watch it. I wish I just got it all in one shot. And then there are certain times where it is fun to look forward to you know, watching this week. Like I just know there's certain times in my marriage where we've based nights around stuff that came out, like when Flash was good. Like we would base nights around, that comes out tonight, or Arrow when it was good. Like we're gonna watch it.
Smallville.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw this cool Smallville art piece today. I meant to take a picture of it. I completely forgot to walk back by it for you.
But
That's right. Hopefully, I'll get to take a photo with a nice Smallville piece back in July. So I'm good. Thanks, though.
Phrasing.
The thing about that weekly viewing stuff now is that was back when we had cable, and like, yeah, you could DVR it, but most of the time you were going to watch it the night it came out. Now, I mean, it's just whenever you want to watch it because everything's streaming. You can watch it the night it comes out, and if you don't, then it's no big deal because you can watch it any other time. And I think you were talking about that's why the perfect timing for Moon Knight to come out. Was it Wednesdays Moon Knight comes out?
Yeah.
Because it gives you that time to the break for people to be able to not have to watch it that Wednesday night, but give them that weekend to watch it. I don't know, man. Like I said, I want to complain about the weekly stuff, but then there's sometimes where I'm just like, oh, I'm okay with it. There's been nothing that's come out yet that I'm like, I've got to see what's next, or I can't wait another week. But because even though I'm going to have to regardless,
I just hate doing it. That's my own personal preference. Yeah. Because yes, I need my cash and I want it now.
Like I said, the beneficial thing for that with the studios is, like I said, it keeps the show relevant for 2 months instead of it being relevant for the weekend it comes out. Then nobody talks about it anymore. So that's whatever. Anything else about Halo?
I'm interested to see Kai's story. I don't know if she's going to end up being, if she's going to get punished, get in trouble, if she's going to, if her being able to think is going to save them. I mean, it probably won't, because let's be honest, like if you think like a machine, then you can normally just pew pew and kill people. That's what they want from them. So I don't know when we do see a fight, if she's going to be like the sacrificial lamb because of she pulled her little thing out.
It would make sense. It's funny though, because like they know that Master Chief took his out. They don't know she took hers out.
Yep.
So that's going to be the difference there. That she's going to be able to rebel without them really knowing why. So,
but I like her character.
The others are going to follow. Yeah.
And
I don't know enough about her yet.
Yeah, the way that she's going is giving me enough to just be like, cool, like let's see what happens with you. Because I mean, she hasn't done anything that seemed like it was too much. I mean, she put grease in her hair, whereas I guess most people complain about their hair being greasy. That was the only thing I came up with.
I just wonder if there's going to be like a divide between the Spartans. Like if you have, Master Chief and Kai, that don't have the pellets or the.
Yep.
And versus then you have the other two where they're still going to follow orders.
Mm-hmm.
So is it going to come down to where it's kind of like what Halsey told them the beginning when Master Chief, in the first episode, she told her Spartan, she's like, protect him. So I'm wondering at some point, is there going to be a difference where it's almost like choosing sides?
Yeah.
I think there will be an ultimatum. There'll be a point where they have to do that, but I think in the end, all the Spartans will stay together. I think that those three are so loyal to Master Chief, like beyond anything else. That doesn't matter, capsule or whatever they have or not. They're gonna follow him.
They did a good job showing that and forecasting it with the animal talk of how, like we had all these things that we loved, and then they wanted to teach us that we loved each other more than anything, and so we were stronger as a unit, I guess is the best way to put it. But I mean, as dark and gloomy as it is, it's the truth. If you know what the person next to you is going to do, you don't have to worry about falling down for anticipation. You automatically just move. There's been people like that I've worked with in my career that you can just like right off of one another, play right off of one another, and not have to worry about what the other one's doing. And those are the best people and still great friends of mine that I have to this day from years ago. So I think that's what they have to a 100 exponent degree,
with Master Chief. Yeah, and it explains too, when you're in situations like that with people, you build a bond. Yeah. I mean, and that could explain why Soren and John although the stuff happened between them, are still friends. Still battle buddies based on what So I get that to a certain extent, I guess. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
the
it, man.
funeral.
Let's talk about
When
it.
Quan goes to the funeral,
Mhm.
you're right. Like with the whole hooded thing, that was the stupidest thing I thought about this whole episode.
Yeah.
She just goes and starts talking. I'm like, no, bitch. You shut your mouth. You wait until the end when people are walking away and giving their condolences and like talking to one another, and then you're like, "Hey, it's me. Here's my phone number. Call me."
Meet me here, away
No.
from the crowd.
Yeah, no. She just like,
No, you're gonna call them all out.
right.
Traitors, cowards. Oh, okay.
But yeah, sorry. That was the last thing I had.
You're right. It's like I said, Quan's an idiot. I mean, but once again, she's playing a probably teenage girl that has a ton of emotions and hormones run through her. So she's probably playing the part pretty well for just making dumb, irrational decisions, spur of the moment. Because
3 episodes ago, she was doing drugs, man.
yeah, you're
Oh,
right.
yeah.
You're right. I mean, in that state of mind, I guess it would be easy to make dumb decisions. So, all right. Well, let's move on to the rest of Paramount Plus, the best of the night. Meet least Picard. Butterflies, right? For real. We just don't even care about butterflies anymore, do we? Fuck the future.
No.
Like, fuck. Like, what is the point of what you're doing if you're just gonna fuck everything up anyway?
Best laid plans.
Saying.
But that's what happens when you bring the damn Borg queen with you. What do you expect?
This is true. So let's talk about this. We didn't get any Girardi this week, except for just a little clip, from the video footage, but didn't actually see any of her. Had a guy checking her out at the bar, rightfully so. And then I don't understand the breaking glass thing. You'll have to explain the breaking glass thing to me. So she's in this bar and she breaks this glass for some reason. Endorphins, they said. She was trying to get an endorphin rush.
Yes. The endorphins
That
for some
sound
reason
gives her an endorphin rush, or just the physical act of breaking the glass?
Yeah.
Probably just the physical act, or probably just something that excuse me.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same way. It's when you do something like that, to just get your adrenaline pumping. And so once your adrenaline is pumping, your words escaping me, the glands are essentially secreting all that stuff. It causes those sensations for the Borg queen. Like the Borg always looks very monotone, very like dead to the world, but like all the stuff that happens in the actual person's body is always triggering all of the things, like their learning process. Like it keeps, imagine if you were on like the best day of your life and all of your emotions and everything else were all inside you and not showing to the rest of the world. Like your face wasn't showing it, your eyes weren't showing it, your mouth, nothing was doing it. And so all that stuff like really like accelerates what goes on in the actual Borg specimen, person, body, whatever you want to call it. So
okay, that makes sense. Let's see, go through the notes here. At the beginning, okay, we ended the last episode with Picard in, I guess, like kind of a coma.
Mm-hmm.
Who is he talking to? Is that psychiatrist a new character? Is it somebody I should know? Is it just like a manifestation in his head? Like, what's going on?
Well, who did it end up being in the episode?
Oh, good point. I didn't think about that. I was actually just going through my notes and I forgot that was the end. I wrote it down at the end. Yeah. Okay, so at the beginning, we've never seen this character. This is new. Never seen Picard's father?
We have seen Picard's mother.
Okay.
I'm not sure if we've seen Picard's father.
Mm-mm.
I don't think we have.
Okay.
The actual
Romulus?
character is he's a Battlestar Galactica.
Well, so that's the thing about it. It's like I recognized him when I first glanced at him. I thought it was Dr. Bashir.
Yeah. Gave you that
Yeah, that's who I thought. I was like, no. And then I was like, wait a minute. That's not him. I was like, okay, never mind. Sorry.
He's got the Voyager badge. He's got her comm.
Mm-hmm.
He's got like all the different things were like it was literally just a whole bunch of things that were like making your senses go like, wait, what? Who is he?
Yeah.
And then you realize when you start to reel it back, you're like, oh, he's no one. And then you get to the end of the episode and you're like, oh, it's Dad, where were you? You went for smokes and you never came back.
Yeah. let's see. So the Watcher is Romulan.
Duh. That's all I could think about whenever they unveiled that.
Like,
Well, it kind
well,
of really mad because like the little thing that she put on, I'm like, did it just happen to have the pointy part? I'm like,
well, and see,
maybe
that's
that's
what I
to
thought. I was
slide
like,
over.
oh, it's a nice little homage right there to her being Romulan in the future, or that character playing a Romulan character. But then they revealed she actually is, and it's like, well, wait a second. Like seriously, like I don't know. I guess just in my mind, when you talk about Watcher, like an omnipotent being that's watching over somebody, I just wouldn't imagine a Romulan being one.
What would you imagine?
Not a being that I've seen on any show, like not of a race that's like, you know, another.
I was
I,
only
w-
curious what you were going to say, though. That's the
I
only
wouldn't
reason
imagine
why
to be
I
a
asked.
human or like what's the other one? Which what's it? Not Aryan.
Oh, Elorian.
Elorian. Yeah, I wouldn't imagine something like that. I'd imagine some species you don't know, you know.
Oh,
But
I'm
I
taking that
guess
too.
anybody could be. I guess it's like a lantern. You just pick a person who's worthy, and doesn't matter where they're from. Who knows? So Romulans have been there for a long, long, long time, apparently, on Earth.
Well, all the Watchers were sent back in time, so remember that.
Okay, I didn't know that. I thought they were of the present. That makes
Oh, you just ruined it, Ross. You just ruined it.
yes, because that makes it even more not okay with me. Because I already have an issue with what the hell does a watcher do if they're just watching. Now this has already happened, and they're going back to make sure that it's come on, man. Like really? So that's like me going back and watching Return of the Jedi on VHS just to make sure that it still plays Return of the Jedi when I put it in the VCR.
No, that's like you going back in time and like fucking being really weird with George Lucas the whole time, watching him make Return of the Jedi.
You
Well,
can't
Make
be
sure that he
mad
didn't
with him. You
screw
just
it
have
up.
to watch him.
That's a better way to put it.
No,
Yeah.
at the end, you play the Yub Nub song. You don't play the other song. You play
Right.
Yub Nub. That's the song you play.
Yeah,
But no,
I
I
guess
mean,
that's a good
so
point.
all of like the Watchers are like they protect the timeline, right? So if you protect the timeline, you know what the timeline is, and then go back and protect said timeline.
So,
Why? We don't know.
if you go back to protect it, then you have to know at said point something happens to alter the timeline,
That's
right?
been my thing this whole time. That's why I said last week when we were talking about it, I'm like, but if the Watcher is there, then why does the Watcher not do this or not know? Why does the Watcher not know that Q is interfering with her therapy sessions?
Right.
How is that not happening?
Mm-hmm. And we do get a little bit of a hint to that whenever he goes to Whoopi's character, young Whoopi's character, because apparently they can. So I didn't know this. I'm sure y'all probably did that the Elorians and the Qs had a treaty, like
Oh
peace
no.
with each other.
I think all this information was like new.
Brand new. Okay, so it's
Now,
all new. So from what
now
I
I do
understand, then
remember because Guinan would always, when Q did pop around, she would always kind of make illusions, but you never really knew how far it was. It's almost like, I know you, I know of, it's like, I know you, I
Right.
know you.
Okay.
But as far as anything else that was talked about, no.
Well, and you do remember at the beginning of this episode, Q came to Picard for help because something was wrong. And in this episode, she tries to summon him and he won't come. And she says, that's the first time I've ever heard of this is happening. Something must be wrong. So,
But was it Q or was it the other Qs? Like was it the one that we know, or that's the thing?
good
Because there's
point.
more than just the Q that we know from.
Yeah, 'cause there's a lady Q out there somewhere.
Yeah, that's how they make baby Qs.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have little tails.
But yeah, I don't know, man. Like I'm interested to see. Because now I'm wondering, is the problem the Borg Queen, or is the problem still something that happened with Q? Because the whole thing with Renee, I don't think was a problem at all. Like, I don't think that was the reason they were
I
coming back.
feel like good storytelling would loop back to that.
Okay.
So
And it probably will.
I do feel like it's going to loop back, but I do think that the problem is that they want you to think that Q started it all, which Q probably did, but Q started it by bringing Picard into the fold, and Picard's inability to sit by and watch and wait for things to happen made him and the crew go back in time. Them going back in time actually spurred the problem, and Q was like powerless. So by Picard being there, he actually creates a problem because what happened? You just said butterfly, butterfly, butterfly. Not only is that creating its own side tangent story, but we also know that Picard's going through his own stuff. Rios is bringing people in. Now you got Seven and Rafi going after Girardi, and Girardi's probably going to be the reason why a lot of this stuff happens. I mean, I don't get the whole genie in the bottle thing with Q, why that's so important right now, but now we don't know what's going to happen because apparently Picard's going to be, detained. So,
yes.
Well, there's always been that underlying thing with Picard and Q. There's always been this cat and mouse game. There's always been this, Q's always accusing humanity of this, that, and other, and it always comes down to Picard trying to, handle it and, setting him straight. So, it's for me, that would just be a logical reason. Q, just blame Q, because 9 times out of 10, it is Q's fault. Yeah. But now you're throwing in all this, like you said, the others where, taking consideration of the Borg Queen, and then Girardi and all this. I'm thinking, oh my God, she's just walking around Los Angeles, just trying, and 7 and 9's like, well, she's going to assimilate everybody. I'm like, well, that's going to be very interesting, but. And then like Rios, I'm like, dude, what in the hell are you doing, man?
Yes, let's talk about that.
What are you doing?
My callback to that quote that I said earlier from Moon Knight. Every time that she feels like that doctor feels like she's got a handle on him, something else comes up new. And not only then, every time someone feels like they know something about Picard, they keep bringing up new stuff with Picard.
Yeah.
The man has lived multiple lives, and they alluded to it in this episode. Like, why does everyone still call you captain? They didn't say that to him, but it was part of the dialogue in the show. And once again, every time someone thinks they know something else happens. And so when you feel like you have the story in front of you, boom,
he's a complicated man.
New bomb.
That's for sure. I do want to talk about that Rios thing though. He teleports the doctor and the boy to the ship, which why? Like there is zero explanation as to why that's a good idea.
Somebody won't think with their head.
Yeah, they were just the wrong head.
Exactly.
Okay, so
it's called love. Make you do crazy things.
What's it called?
It's calling like, lady, I told you to trust me now. Okay, I'm telling you why, because I'm not completely crazy.
Just so you know, that won't hold up in court. But it's called love.
It's called passion. It's a passion, crime passion.
So, okay, Picard's in this coma, right? And the moment he beams that little thing down into his hands. And
yes.
So, like, this tool, he doesn't know what it is or what it does, right? But he gives it to the doctor, and he's like, make it work. Fix it.
Do what feels right.
And literally all she does is hold it, and it opens up, and it fixes him. And I'm like, okay, first of all, it seems like anybody could have done that. But second of all, like, why would you entrust her to use this when you don't even know what it is or what it does?
Because he's not a doctor.
You're a doctor. You can figure it out.
I do feel like that was kind of like a trust move. Like, here, do it. Because even though he wouldn't have been able to figure it out, when it comes down to, like, the nits and the grits of the whole entire story, he probably could have done whatever. Yeah. But at the same time, I do think it was completely stupid to where he's just like, here is my hope. Take it and create a prayer so that we can kind of turn this whole situation into the smiley face.
It's a neurological thing. Brain, right? Yeah. It kind of blew my that. And then, he's definitely trying to mac on this chick. But did you realize you got to go back, right?
Oh, yeah. He's got straight doe eyes for this chick. I mean.
Well, I can see why. I mean, smart, pretty. She's a catch for sure.
She got caught for sure.
Yeah.
And then released.
Yeah. But I mean, dude, you're gonna have to go back at some point in time. Seriously.
He had the callback quote too from Kirk. The no, I'm from Chile. I just work in space.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh God, come on. All right, I know that you guys want to keep going back to the well, but you don't have to do it so much. Like this is
Right.
What do we have? Like 3 more episodes left. Come on. Give me some card stuff. Give me some new stuff.
Right. So I hope we get more Agnes in the next episode.
It was interesting. 7 of 9 and Rafi actually kind of talked about their relationship a little bit.
Finally.
Yeah.
Because that had been kind of like an elephant in the room because at the end of the first season, it was alluded, and you're just like, where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
And now, like through this, even starting from the first episode, it was like, okay, but now you're finally going to talk about it. You're talking about growing old together, and there's nothing here that would show me that you two have anything other than like a chick relationship. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like it's anything deeper than that.
No, to be fair, they were yelling at each other while driving in the car, and that's pretty realistic. So, I mean, they didn't say, "Why didn't you stop and ask for directions?" I mean,
see, that would solidify it, but still. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's not. I mean, they're not hitting you in the head with it, but it's like, okay, this is a little more. Seems like it should be a little deeper than what it is.
you get a lot of relationships in movies and TV, and real life too, that only work when there's a goal at the end, and the goal is actually like tangible. It's not like I want to be with you forever. They seem like that kind of couple that need the dramatic.
But there's just seems there's no affection. I guess that's my point. There's no affection. It's almost like, okay, well, we're together. Okay, I mean,
Well, you know what? Let's have them make out.
no.
That'll make you happy. I'm cool with that. Just go ahead.
I mean,
I'll write the writer down. Let's have them make out.
Or like a touch or a word or something along those lines. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It was. I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it. I don't know. It's just weird. I mean, I just feel like it's.
I was going to say, do you want to see an ass smack? Do you want to caress down the face?
No, I'm just saying it's almost like it's an implied. It's just.
No, I'm with you.
It's like it's implied, but yet you don't really see anything to believe the implications.
They're not doing the work on screen, is what you're saying, and I'm with you.
Yeah.
Like they're not giving you the.
I mean, hell, you've seen Agnes and Rios. You've seen them. Go.
Oh, she straight up aliened his mouth last episode. Like,
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
stuck that little thing down straight down there.
He wasn't fighting either. He wasn't fighting it.
And even with Rios and the doctor, I mean, at least you can kind of believe that. But I don't know. It's just with Rafi and 7, it's just so like sterile. I don't know.
No, you're right. I'm just gonna keep all my jokes pretty simple.
Yeah, you quiet.
I mean, they're walking a fine line with it. Yeah, I mean, you're right. They leave you just enough to see maybe something beyond friends and partners,
They've been fighting the whole episode or the whole season. So, like, Rafi's been grieving. She's been very irritable, and like I haven't really seen a whole lot from 7 to actually like try to comfort her. But then again, 7's not the comforting type,
right?
Like you don't get that from her. So that's why I say that they're kind of the Doom couple. Like they need Doom to work.
But yeah, they want to sit in there on park benches and trip kids with their canes. I'm like, okay.
Well, I mean,
everybody has goals, but you don't have to be together to do that.
Like I said, I'll write the studio. Tell them, go ahead and have them make out. Only take 30 seconds to do it.
We're gonna switch gears. What did you think about Batman showing up in the flashback?
Batman showing up in the flashback?
All the flashback scenes and him being scared, like right off the beginning of this episode, when little Picard is scared in his head, and then all of a sudden they show like Batman-esque, heavy Batman-esque or Man-Bat characters to show up to be like the things that were haunting him and his mom.
Huh. I never really put that together. But yeah, I guess so. I mean, I didn't really catch a glimpse of the monsters. I just heard, and then you see his mom kind of disappear. Maybe I just was looking down and writing a note when you saw it, but I didn't actually see them. They
were all shadows. It was all silhouettes, and they just
except for the one that strangled.
Yeah, when you get deep into it, yeah,
the Snoke looking one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
wrote
thought,
that down.
and I'm going to say this. They really pulled a Martha Wayne from the new Batman movie,
Yeah.
where Martha Wayne is crazy and insane, and Thomas Wayne tries to save her from the rest of the world and protect her insanity from the rest of the world. They really pulled that into this. And look, at the same time, there are so many coincidences in stories that come out at the same time. Movies, TV shows, movies to movies, whatever it is. So many scenarios where they piggyback on storytelling. It's almost like some production company gets word that they're going to do a story like this. And like, okay, well, we can do it. We can do it better. And then the next thing you know, two movies come out that are extremely close to each other. Top Gun and Iron Eagle.
Iron Eagle. Well, remember what was it? The volcano movies. Like wasn't there like a natural disaster era where like everybody was making natural disaster movies?
Yeah, like
straight up
2019, the day after tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like it's a trend. Yeah.
But the first thing that my mind went to when like I realized early on that she was going crazy, I'm like, oh wait, no, like he's not a prince. If he was a prince, he would be, Prince John Luck Pickard. So when I figured it out, I'm like, my God, that's just like the Thomas Wayne, Martha Wayne, Bruce Wayne story in the new Batman. And I was like, shit.
Yes, but my only question is, this is not a memory from him. It is a story he's playing out in his mind from a memory. So it's like not the story of based on the story of, right? Type thing where all events may not be true. Because I mean, there were monsters in it. It couldn't have been a memory.
Well,
But it was like his in his mind what he was going through, right? In a story mode. Story.
If your mom has those types of tendencies, then your childhood probably is a little bit more imaginative than most, and not like in like a great way, but like if you grow up with that kind of thing, then that's how you're taught to think.
Mm-hmm.
And even though there probably weren't real monsters, he manifested that with what he knew from his childhood. So his childhood probably was a whole lot different, but he did create that stuff for this.
Are we to believe that the monster is actually his dad that was putting his mom in the room, and that was why she was on the other side and he wouldn't let him open the door at the end?
Yeah.
Is that kind of okay?
Well, as a child, I mean, that's what his psyche was creating. I mean, it was like,
Right.
he was, you have this, picture of your mom, and then, you don't really, as a child, you don't really see, the full picture, especially if she was having, mental issues and that kind of thing. So then his dad's trying to help her. So then basically his dad's taking his mom away. So therefore he's just basically stating or creating his psyche saying, oh, well, your dad's the bad guy because he's keeping your mom locked up, that kind of thing. So
You're the devil.
So my question is, and maybe we just don't know it yet, but what is the point of this story arc? Like, is it something we're yet to figure out, or is there something I'm missing? Like, what does Picard's father being abusive when he was younger, or not abusive, but being who he was, and him being in this coma, like, what does that have to do with anything so far? Am I just asking the question that's still yet to be answered?
I think it's just kind of adding to the persona of Picard as a whole, because he's the type of character, through the Next Generation and through all this, he was always standoffish. It's like he didn't like kids, even though there was an episode where he was stuck with like 3 or 4 of them in the turbo lift, and they had to figure out how to get out. And he's just like, oh my God, shoot me now! I've got these kids I got to deal with. So I mean, he was never like the father figure type of thing. It's just like even with Dr. Crusher and Wesley, he knew Jack. Jack was Beverly's husband that had, I guess he was like killed or whatnot, because I guess they served on a ship together or whatnot. So they had all this little whatnot, but you had all these different relationships, and there was even some TNG episodes where he did have or tried to have a relationship with someone, or the relationship with it wasn't his brother, it was his who Who was the one that actually owned the vineyard?
Oh, this is brother, I believe.
Was it his brother? So then
Mhm.
you're just like, where the hell's his brother in all this? So is he going to come into play? I'm like, so there's a lot of questions about who Picard was, and I think this is really interesting because it's almost like you're coming down the last his twilight years, and maybe now they're bringing this just another story to kind of bring to light of just to kind of give another version of Picard. You're seeing a different side. You're seeing a vulnerable side. You're seeing, okay, this is maybe what makes him tick, why he's like he is. So I don't know. That's just what kind of hits me.
Yeah.
I think you're going to get a little bit more. I think that it's possible that the whole reason why they brought the Renee thing in here to be like the decoy, maybe, that they find a way to wrench Picard and Renee and the fact that he has a problem with like the way that his childhood was and growing up. All these things could kind of come into play together. I think that if you're going to tell it, there should be a reason, because even though we all should know more about Picard, even though like the next season will be his last hurrah, most likely as Picard ever, it gives you a little bit. It gives you a path to like a whole another, not outlet, but possibility towards the end. Right. So if we have 1, 2, 3 episodes left, then who knows what they're going to do with it?
Fair point. We got 3 weeks to find out, don't we?
Yeah.
Well, that's all my notes on Picard. We hit every point I wanted to talk about. There was one more point. She made a big deal to her son that she was going to cuss, and then she said one cuss word. I was like,
you didn't even say the good ones.
Yeah, okay.
See, that's something my kid would say. It's like, you need to say the good one. I'm like, well,
something you hear on cable television. Like, is it really that bad? All right, whatever. All right, cool. It's TV. But, all right, cool. Well, we're gonna keep up with them. See, getting close to May. Doctor Strange. We got plenty of stuff coming out in the future. I'm gonna look at the schedule, figure out but we got the stuff for at least the next few weeks. At least the next few weeks in the bag. So I'm sure we'll pick up some new shows, some new movies as things go on. Maybe we'll do a retro on some movies here pretty soon. I know that we were having a debate about Iron Eagle and Top Gun the other day. When Top Gun comes out, maybe we'll do a review on Top Gun and then maybe compare and contrast Top Gun and Iron Eagle and then do a review on the new Top Gun movie. I mean, there's a reason why Iron Eagle had 4 movies in the 80s. And Top Gun is now coming out with the second one. All I'm saying, whatever.
Well, Top Gun was good on its own. It didn't need anything.
Just saying, Chappie's death is way worse than Goose's death. Just go back and watch the movie.
That's your face.
Way harder to get through. That'll be fun. Top Gun's something fun to look forward to. I actually watched that with my wife a couple weeks ago for the first time forever because my wife loves that movie for obvious reasons. It's
Tom Cruise is not.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've watched that one. And I'm interested to watch it again because it's not as bad as I remember it being. I guess when I was younger, Top Gun just didn't do it for me. I don't know. Once again, I was an Iron Eagle guy. So, but then again, I'm also, it's funny because Sheldon makes a joke about it on Big Bang Theory, but I'm the guy who did that too. I bought a Zune instead of an iPod. So I always kind of zig when I should zag sometimes.
Yes,
I called it the antipod for a long time.
I'm still yet to buy any Apple product. Never bought an iPod, iPad. Watch. Well, not for myself. I bought some for my daughters, but never for myself. I'm sticking to it. That's the hill I'll die on. The Samsung hill.
Bought one yesterday.
What's that? New phone? Apple?
I finally bought a holdover computer.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Makes sense.
You're gonna get my money 50,000 times before I die.
Yeah, that's the general thing. They got you hooked for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what they do. All right, let's get out of here, y'all. Sarah, where can they find you at?
You can find me on the Twitter at My Little Kitten. I bounce around there every now and again.
I love how you say the Twitter. That's so awesome.
The Twitter.
Twitter. I mean, it's kind of like Facebook. It's just I just can't look away. I mean, I never take anything to heart because I will sit there and just make my own little judgments, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is funny. This is funny.
Just wait till they rebrand it Elon's personal messaging service.
Oh no, that's just gonna be crazy. But I do sometimes I do enjoy some of the dialogue and the back and forth and that kind of thing. So I mean, it has its pros, it has its cons. I mean, it's It's another just social media platform.
Social media can be great, but I'm more along the lines of Ross in this, where it's mostly evil. It's mostly a place for people to blast out their grievances. And I used to be a victim of doing that. I'd see things that made me mad, and I'd type it. And then I got to a point where I see things that made me mad, and I'd type it, and I'd erase it before I send it. Now I just don't see things that make me mad because I just don't get on it anymore.
Oh no, you see
But,
things that make you mad,
yeah, sometimes.
just in the real world.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Those are actually easier to deal with.
Yep.
But, all right. Well, you can find me still on Twitter at the BatDaddy52. At SCS Podcast One's the show handle. We're here every Friday. Well, it's Saturday night. I forgot to mention that. We're doing it on Saturday night this week. We're usually
Well,
here
life
every Friday
happens
night.
sometimes, and you got to push it. So, I mean,
Damn.
It's a holiday weekend. Calm your so.
Yesterday was Good Friday, right? That's
Yes.
That's why we couldn't do it. Yesterday was Good Friday. So. Wow. Yeah, we're usually here every Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. Check out the show. Come get in the chat room, be a part of the show. Give us a like, give us a review, tell a friend, share with somebody. All that good stuff you're supposed to say to get the podcast off the ground. I'm telling you, man, we got tens and tens of people that listen to us. Be part of the crowd. It's fun stuff. But I'm getting out of here. I guess until next week. Later, Skater.
Bye, guys.